in terms of the work that has to be done. So in basic, the ones that require new buildings, approximately 48 lakhs per building will be sanctioned for that. So there are about close to 200 plus schools that are left. So that would be roughly, you can make the calculations, so 200 into close to about 50 lakhs per school. And then the different schools that are in different kind of conditions, some will require 2-3 lakhs, some will require 4-5 lakhs. So those assessments will have to be done. But we are looking at roughly anything between 200 to 300 crores in terms of the funds required to complete all the schools.
So we have seen the Meghalaya High Court has asked the government to initiate a comprehensive process to give permission for legal mining. So what do you have to say on this?
The process for legal mining, in terms of scientific mining, the process is already on. There are a large number of individuals, miners, who have already applied for prospecting license, and they have received it also, almost about 15 or 18 of them. And some of them have also gone ahead and they have submitted their mining plan, which will then get approval from different agencies, and then the scientific mining process can also start. So the process is already on, and based of course on the Supreme Court ruling, it came out in July 2019. All these steps have been initiated, and let's hope that we will see some of the mining licenses come out earlier than expected. So we are keeping our fingers crossed, but the process is a very complicated process. So we'll wait and watch, but the process is on.
Sir, schools are made, infrastructure are developed. What about the teachers? Because whoever we speak, a lot of government MLAs are complaining about lack of teachers.
So yeah, so as I said in my speech, it's a long process. There's so many problems that are there in the education sector. So as you correctly said that, we'll solve one problem, then suddenly somebody will come and say, oh, what about that? Then we'll solve that problem also, somebody will say, oh, what about this? So it's a process, and we are working towards it, and slowly and steadily we will see things improving. Even in terms of teachers, in the last 4 years, we have appointed 1,300 teachers that were actually on temporary basis. So teachers are being appointed. And as was mentioned, there are 14,000 schools that we have. So about 12,000 of them are LP schools. So out of these 14,000 schools, there are about 36 schools that are not having teachers. So yes, there should be no school that should be without teacher. But there's a complication that developed because we had gone for the appointments and gone for the interview process and other examination processes. But some court cases came up that led to some complications. But those are certain minor cases. We are trying to resolve them. And hopefully we'll be able to have the teachers for all the schools very soon. Number two, there is a strong case of also rationalization which is required in schools. There are a large number of schools which actually have very less students but have large number of teachers, and some schools which have large students but very less teachers. And hence within the government LP schools, we have to rationalize them and take out some of the teachers from schools which have less students and then give them to schools which have more students. So this kind of process will always be a dynamic in nature. There will never be a situation where it will be always perfect. But to whatever extent possible, the government is taking number of steps which I've already mentioned to ensure that even the issues of teachers is resolved.
So at such an event like this, we see that students are participating and you're interacted with them. However, on the sidelines of this, kind more students are being warned not to speak to the media. What do you have to say about this?
Well, I don't know about the warning that's given to any of the students, but that may be a general matter of the school. But already the department has initiated some steps. I don't have the exact update with me right now. Maybe the education minister himself or maybe the Commissioner Secretary Education will be in a better position to tell you specific updates on that specific case.
So we have seen the opposition, they are into a daily attacks on the MDA government, alleging that there is a lot of misgovernance under your leadership. Sir, your reaction to this?
Well, it's I guess the opposition's duty to continue to do these kind of things, and they're doing their part as an opposition. But of course, they have to always ensure that whatever they say, they have to be able to, come out with all the details and everything. So I think allegations can be made. I have nothing to say about that. But overall, if you look at the overall work that has been done, the results that are showing, I think clearly reflect that a lot of change has taken place in the last 4.5 years. There is a simple example of the schools being today inaugurated. You saw how the schools were before and see how it is now. In fact, some other pictures which we could not show today, you will see in the next phase were even more dilapidated. So I think there will be people who will criticize always. I don't think we can stop that. But I think in general and at large, people have seen the kind of work that's going on in different departments. I mentioned to you that we'll be receiving a presidential award for the performance in JJM on the 2nd of October. So one of the best performing states in the country. I think that's another testimony and example of how Meghalaya government has been doing its work. We have got the same testimony for tourism. We've got the same award for startups. We have got award for e-governance. We have received award for health department. So I think the critics will say what they have to say here. But if you look at the independent critics and the government of India and other agencies which actually look into these aspects have testified that, that there has been changes and improvement in the overall governance and improvements have been seen. And while we say that, we're not saying that everything is perfect. Of course, there are a lot of challenges still and we have to work even harder. But to say that nothing is happening and everything is under misgovernance would be incorrect.
Is this
So
the
it's
answer?
clear once and for all, the MDA government is not willing to participate or take part in this challenge that has been made by Saket Gupta.
See, as I said again and again, I don't know why you're asking this question. To be frank,
Because he's given a second challenge, that is it.
Well, tomorrow there are going to be 100 people if they come up. Somebody from Gujarat will come up, somebody from Bihar will come up, somebody from Kerala will come up. You tell me, is it in any way relevant? Is it possible for government or for Chief Minister or Deputy Chief Minister to have a debate with anybody who comes up on the media and social media says, I want to have debate with you? It's a very unreasonable kind of a situation. So I don't know. I don't think even the press should even, venture into this line and should not even push this thing. It's really something which is very sad and very unproductive and meaningless, I should say. As I said, tomorrow there will be 100 people who will come up and say, "Oh, I also challenge. Why are they taking up the challenge?" So let me ask you the question. Are you going to ask me every time somebody comes up from anywhere in the country? There are 120 crore people in our country today, and if all these people come up and say they want to have a debate with us, are you going to ask me again and again? So your questions also should be reasonable. These are unreasonable questions. They have no base. They have no sense. They're meaningless. I think we're wasting the time of the press, wasting your space in the media, and wasting the time of the press conference also by asking these questions, with due respect. So I suggest we should not talk about this anymore.
So